Okay, to solve question 46, the directions say to write each function in factored form, and then to check to make sure you've done it correctly by multiplication. So we're going to factor and then multiply it back out. We always want to look for a GCF first. As I look at this problem, I see a couple ways of doing it. I can either factor out the 1/2 x, or I can factor out a 1/8 x. And so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to factor out a 1/8 x. So in this case, if I factor out a 1/8 x, now again, what you're trying to determine with factoring is you are trying to determine what multiplied by this 1/8 x gives us 1/2 x cubed. Now another way of doing that is by dividing by that factor. Okay? So in this case, we can go ahead, we have x cubed divided by x. That's going to be x squared. So we have 1/2 x squared over 1/8. Now dividing by an 8 is the same thing as multiplying by 8 over 1. So in this case, what we would get is we would get 8 over 2 x squared, or simply just 4x squared. Alright, now go ahead and multiply that back out. 1/8 x times 4x squared would be 4x cubed over 8. Okay, the x cubed is there, the 4 over 8 is 1/2, so that checks out. As far as the dividing or factoring out the 1/8 x, anything divided by itself is just 1, so this is what we have. Now this is factored, but it's not completely factored. Okay, obviously this GCF is going to be a monomial, it can't be factored, but this remaining binomial can. It has two terms. Okay, and with two terms we look for difference of squares. In fact, this is difference of squares. So with the GCF of 1/8 x, difference of squares factors into two binomials. Here it's going to be 2x and 2x because that's the square root of 4x squared. 1 plus and 1 minus square root of 1 is 1 and 1. Okay, and that would be the factored form for question 46. Now it does say to check by multiplication. I would recommend multiplying these conjugates together first because the O and the I will cancel out. So that gives us, not 2x squared, sorry, 4x squared minus 1 times 1/8 x. We just discussed this when we distribute. That's going to be 4/8 x cubed minus 1/8 x. We simplify the 4 over 8 to 1/2. And therefore we know we have done this question correctly. So there's the factored form, and there's our check with our multiplication. That's how you solve question 46 from the advanced algebra 2.